Today, I'm going to talk about different strategies to help you sleep better at night. So first of all, we want to keep our rooms fairly cool. When the room temperature is too warm, we tend to have more interrupted sleep. We toss and turn more. So research suggests that somewhere in the 65 to 68 degree Fahrenheit range is a good range for most people. So if your room tends to be warmer than that, see if you can improve your sleep by bringing that temperature down just a little bit. A second big factor would be keeping the room dark. So we tend to have a lot of external light coming in from street lights and from porch lights and things like that. So blackout curtains, blackout shades can be very helpful to keep the light from coming inside. And then you also check around your room and look at the internal sources of light. A lot of times alarm clocks and the LEDs on chargers of laptops and phones and TVs and things like that can provide enough light to actually interrupt our sleep a bit. So putting a piece of tape over those LEDs is a really helpful way to keep your room a bit darker. And then on a related note, just electronics in general are not very helpful for our sleep. We tend to be on our phones or our tablets right before bed, which we can get distracted with messages, work emails, and things like that. So do the best you can to turn things off, turn your electronics off 30 minutes or more before bed. That can help your brain kind of start to relax and get into sleep mode and not be so distracted. Then also, consistent sleep schedule is a very big factor in throwing people's sleep off. So it's not uncommon to maybe go to bed at 11 or 12 on weeknights and then wake up at 6 or 7 for work. Then you get to a weekend and you're up till 3 or 4 in the morning, you sleep till noon, and then you try to get back into your Monday schedule that Sunday night and go to bed at a reasonable time, and you're completely thrown off. It really confuses the body when we start giving it these huge differences from weekends to weeknights. So not that you need to be perfect and it's going to be the exact same time of waking up every day, but if you can be within 1 to 2 hours, it can be very helpful in just regulating your circadian rhythm and giving your body a good chance to know like what's a good time to get tired and what's a good time to be awake in the morning. Caffeine and alcohol are another big factor that can affect sleep. So if you're drinking tons of caffeine, or especially if you're having it later in the day, like after noon or after 1 or 2, it can definitely affect the quality of your sleep that night. It can make it harder to fall asleep, and that can keep you up a little bit at nighttime too. And then alcohol, even though a lot of people view it as a sleep aid because it can help us fall asleep a bit faster, actually is going to result in poorer sleep quality. So maybe you do fall asleep more quickly, but then you don't stay asleep as well, or you don't get to those deep levels of sleep that you would if you didn't have the alcohol. Naps are another thing that can affect your sleep. So they're not necessarily a bad thing, but if you take very long naps during the day or you're napping later in the day, like after 3 p.m., they can start to affect the quality of your sleep that night. So if you are taking naps and you notice your sleep at night isn't as great as you'd like it to be, try to shift those a little bit earlier or keep them a bit shorter and see if that makes a difference. And then the last thing would be getting outside into daylight. It doesn't necessarily have to be sunlight, even if it's cloudy or rainy. Getting outside during the daytime helps recalibrate our circadian rhythm. That's what's going to kind of balance out the sleep and the wake cycles. And by getting outside, getting some time out in the sun or even in the clouds, it's going to help remind our bodies kind of what time is daytime, what time we should be up and moving around and be active. And then by keeping our rooms really dark at night, we're kind of telling our bodies that's the time we should be sleeping, that's the time we should be more relaxed, and that's the time we kind of go into that recovery mode. So spending a little bit of time outside each day, even if it's a 10-minute walk or just sitting outside for a few minutes, it can just help recalibrate everything and remind your body what time's daytime, what time's nighttime, when we should be sleeping, when we should be awake. Okay, hopefully these strategies were helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for listening.